Hello everyone, Tim here from timscomputerfix.net. Hey, in this video we're going to be taking a look at a different way to mount the Photon 270 tube reservoir. This is from XSPC. Now this is their 690 mil reservoir, which they sold as a kit that my customer had purchased. That included a pump, tubing, fittings, and a processor water block. Now this reservoir comes with its own mounting system that XSPC includes with it. However, my customer wanted this mounted in a location that was not supported by the reservoir mounting hardware. Every component and part of this computer, including the XSPC Photon kit, was all pre-purchased by my customer. He brought in the computer to my shop already half built, and all of the parts have already been purchased. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the mounting situation that he presented to us. So this is exactly how the customer brought in this computer. This is half built. He installed every component, including the water loop. Just having a quick look at this. For the first time, we notice a few things that was a mistake. First off, one of the first things I noticed is the reservoir is installed upside down. The pump actually should be on the bottom, and there would be no way to fill this reservoir as it is now, because the inlet where you would the fill port is underneath. That's actually the top of the reservoir we're looking at there. So that was a mistake on his part. I think we will try to keep the radiator mounted on the top of the case as such. He just wants my input. We'll have a quick look around the back side of the case here where he's got his wire management that he put in. You can kind of see how he ran everything here. Not a big deal since this will all be hidden. Just wanted to give you a little quick look of what we're looking at here on the back side of the case. And here's a quick look at the front of this in-wind case that he's chosen. So let's go ahead and take a look at the changes he wants to make with his reservoir. So here you see the reservoir, how he has it mounted as of now. Well, what he wants to do is to move the reservoir over to the right side of the motherboard and have it in the forefront of all of the wires and cables. Basically, with the stock mounting system that this reservoir has, that would be quite impossible to do. So I'll show you the solution that we came up with to circumvent that problem. First, let's take a quick look at how InWind has a design flaw when it comes to mounting the 120 millimeter fans for your top mounted reservoir. There's only enough room to mount one fan up on the top without that top casing fitting on properly. There's no way to fit 220 millimeter fans up top here and get your top cover on. Now, I don't know if this is really a design flaw, but it sure would be nice to have all of your fans to your radiator hidden underneath this top compartment, but it's quite alright. We can always mount on the underside of the radiator and still achieve the same cooling results. Okay, let's quickly go over the parts we needed for this modification. All this can be found at your local hardware store. First, you need a number 8 zinc plated threaded rod. These rods, 36 inches in length, you can get at Home Depot for $2.94. Now, this particular size threaded rod fits in the threads that are already existing on the top and bottom of the reservoir, so it's real important to get the number 8. We want to use the number 8 screw nuts and the number 8 washers. We also want to go with the 1/4 inch clear PVC tubing to act as a sleeve over our threaded rod. So we're going to use our trusty Dremel tool here. We're going to cut these threaded rods to specs. Basically, we just kind of pre-measured everything out. We know about how long we want these threaded rods to be once they're screwed into the reservoir on the top and the bottom. And once we have these cut, we can go ahead and sleeve them with the clear PVC. And then once we have them sleeved, we can bend them as needed. These two are going on the bottom, and it'll all kind of make sense here at the end, but we need to bend these at a 90 degree. Make sure we're at a 90 here. And you see what it's going to be looking like before it goes on the reservoir. And these are the screws and the washer we use, the nuts and the washers, and you can see how that all kind of fits on there. And here are the rods after they get screwed in. This is the area where the actual original mounting system screws in. So these rods fit nicely into this threaded system here, existing threaded unit. So you can see what we're doing here. We don't want to go too tight with these. We want to go in until they get a little snug, then back off. This is just enough to hold the reservoir in place firmly, and it's also going to give the reservoir an appearance of floating in the case. So this is kind of the idea. So we got straight ones at the top, and we got cut 90 degree ones at the bottom, and everything was pre-measured. So you'll see here how this is going to go into the case. Here's the original back plate, the mounting bracket that went in those positions. We don't need that anymore. So this is how we're going to mount this into the case. We got two holes we drilled, pre-measured, and that's where those two straight rods are going to go through. You can kind of see what those two holes look like on the inside of the case. And down here is the mesh part of the case where we're going to have the rods coming through the bottom. Now, like I say, depending upon what case you're using, you may have to do things a bit different. So we're just going to slide these through. They go through the hole. Now we can cut off the excess right here after we're done. But that's about what it's going to be looking like. That'll be covered up by the side of the case. We can pop in our bottom ones here, and then we'll secure those by using another nut, and that'll be locked into place like so. This is sort of the finished product of the reservoir. Now it's brought to the forefront. We can run all of our wires behind it, and it'll be the main focal point of the case as the customer wanted. These are some of these old cathode tube lights that he wants to use. I don't care for them, but this is where we're going to hide those power packs up underneath the drive bays there. So we're going to continue on now and reconfigure our tubing system using compression fittings. We're just going to kind of try to keep this as simple as possible. Just got to work out the best way to route these big tubes here. Best way to run them. And once we have that done, we'll be ready to start to fill the reservoir and test out our pump system. Okay, we pretty much decided how we want to run our tubing, so we're just going to tighten down the last of our compression fittings here, nice and snug. And then we're going to do a leak test now. We're going to activate this pump from a separate power supply than what's powering the computer motherboard. So the motherboard itself, we're going to use a external power source just to power the pump. You can see here how we're filling the reservoir. We have a piece of our tubing just going through the top and into a funnel. Just keep in mind everything was chosen by the customer. This also includes the color of the fluid. He wants everything purple. So we're not even going to go halfway up right now. We're going to go ahead and prime the system. We're going to prime the loop. So we're just going to give power to the pump only. And let's go ahead and plug that up externally here. Fire off the pump. Let's get our fluid flowing through the tubing until all of the tubing has fluid in it. And that will mean we're good and primed. Okay, a little word of warning as we finish filling this up. We'll go a little further, we'll run this pump again. But we discovered something. As we closed the reservoir up and ran the pump again, we had a little surprise here when we turned it on. This is not a sound you want to hear. We're really not sure why it was making that noise at first. Your water pump should not sound like that. What we found out is with the top cap on this, it was creating back pressure. So the pump wasn't able to flow freely. There was so much back pressure that it wasn't able to pump any water. So that was the sound that it made. Once we had the top lid off, that top cap, it flowed fine, nice and quiet. So a bit of a scare there and a bit of word of warning for everybody installing one of these XSPC reservoirs. Well, you can kind of see here how things turned out. We're running very cool. Everything worked out in the end. Customer is really happy. Like I say, all the colors and everything is by the customer's request. So hopefully this will give somebody an idea though on this XSPC Photon reservoir. Hopefully it'll give someone some ideas if they want to get a little creative in mounting this res. Okay, the end result, as you can see here, the reservoir is now on the right side of the motherboard as he wanted. It's in the forefront. All of the wires and tubing are running behind the reservoir. And this was the only way we could see to take care of that for him. So we were glad we were able to do as he wanted. And he is a happy customer. So as we always try to make our customers happy. Hey, I hope this helps somebody out. Please rate and subscribe to my feed. I would really appreciate that. You can leave comments down below. Thanks for watching.